He had sandy hair and dark brown eyes, and was dressed in a flannel shirt, jeans, and work boots. A faint reference to Harper somebody came to mind. Derek had been bitching about something. Blah, 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 and Harper fixed it. Dylan nodded to the man. Harper? The guy had long eyelashes, a tanned complexion, and really large biceps. He was handsome, ruggedly so, and not someone Derek would ever find sexually attractive. Dylan, on the other hand... Derek? Harper's eyes narrowed as he looked Dylan over, but he said nothing more. Give me the papers, Derek. Derek? Natalie raised her voice. Dylan turned away from Harper and his chocolatey brown eyes and handed her the report he'd been carrying. Sorry, been a long day. And it's only noon, Natalie jeered. She studied the notes, reading through Derek's presentation, giving him a moment to compose himself. A good thing, because Dylan found himself rattled. Derek had given him the bare bones about today's meeting. A necessary evil to clinch the new city development deal. Derek had already been given the green light. He saw today as a mere formality. Yet Dylan considered the meeting anything but. Natalie Wielder treated him with barely concealed disdain. He'd already been late, and holy shit, but this Harper guy stunned him. Dylan had particular tastes in his sexual partners. He was a professional, dated professionals, and liked men and women equally. He cared less about pedigree and looks than about a person's inner character, probably because he'd grown up trying to figure out what made people tick. But his reaction to Harper alarmed him, because he didn't normally grow breathless around, well, anyone. He chalked up his nerves to the threat of being exposed as a fraud and did his best to focus. Natalie asked Dylan questions about the bid, and he answered them easily enough. He concentrated on being Derek, aware his brother was counting on him. Sydney had finally put his brother out of his misery and moved in with him, and Derek planned to capitalize on his good fortune with a weekend of unbridled sex. The lucky bastard. If only the Bears had made that final field goal, Dylan wouldn't have lost that stupid bet. Then Derek would have had to postpone his trip to Charleston. Derek would have answered all of Natalie's questions. And Derek wouldn't have had to ignore an unwelcome attraction to the tall, brooding Harper. Natalie asked Dylan a few more questions before turning her attention to the hunky guy in flannel. She said his name twice, and Dylan belatedly realized Harper had been watching him instead of paying attention to her. Hell. Harper blinked.
Sorry, Nat. What's that?
She gave him an odd look. You sure you got enough sleep last night? You're as off as Derek today.
Thanks a lot,
Dylan muttered. Harper shook his head.
Just nothing.
Good. These figures are the same ones we discussed 2 weeks ago, so I'm glad we're still tracking on budget. But what about the additional buildings near the new Civic Center? How are we on that project? She included Dylan in her question, and he didn't know what to say. Derek hadn't mentioned anything about some Civic Center buildings. What the hell had happened to answer questions from the report, accept the job, and shake the Barracuda's hand for me? It's all a lot of red tape. I've already got the job.
The Civic Center. Let me think.
How to bluff his way out of this one. Harper spoke.
I can't answer for Derek, but I'd say we're square. No issues on our initial groundwork for the new government offices.
Dylan coughed.
Yeah, what he said.
That sounded like something Derek would say. Natalie nodded. Okay, then Derek, we're good. You've got the project. I'll see you in 2 weeks for an update. Friday at 11:45. He smiled, relieved this farce was over.
Sure thing. Great. Thanks.
He stood to leave. So, has Sydney found me a house yet? I like her. I'm still not sure how you ended up with her, though. Natalie gave him a baleful once-over, and had Dylan not been playing a part, he'd have enjoyed her seeming immunity to Derek's allure.
Sydney's great.